Hi, it's Melissa from Special Ed Mom. This is number 5 of trying to do this video. I either get something out of order or I get interrupted, so hopefully this time is the charm. If you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. I'm a nationwide advocate, been doing this for 20 years, over 20 years. Have 2 kids that have graduated the K-12 system, and I now help families nationwide. And sometimes when I'm trying to help a family, I go back in my records because I remember we had a similar battle. I find documentation and it makes a great story time. So this is part of those story time videos. Maybe someday I'll write a book. Maybe someday I'll get this up as a blog post on Special Ed uh, Law Mom if I ever get the website built. But for today, here's the video. Okay, I'm going to try because it gets confusing. So our oldest daughter has autism and she was struggling at school. She was young. She was struggling at school with her ears, covering her ears, screaming, sitting in the corner. Um, it was not good. Our private speech therapist had recommended that we do therapeutic listening. Um, but it was an expensive program. And so we were trying to have the school system provide it, trying to get it however we could have the school system provide it. So in a June 2007 um, IEP meeting, we requested that they provide this particular program, the listening program. If you ever ask for a specific program, it's probably going to be turned down. So just ask for a category of program, because if they feel like you're telling them what to do, then it doesn't go well. But we asked for this specific program, and the special ed director, who was in attendance because I had made some waves, denied our request based upon lack of research. Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure I get my facts straight on this. Okay, so Um, some time goes by, we keep trying to request, they deny it, whatnot. Um, in 2008, my youngest daughter brings home a note from her occupational therapist that says, hey, I tried therapeutic listening with her today, and she was really doing well in responding to it. Really? Because it had been denied based on lack of research. So we wrote the special ed director who had denied it and sent along the note from the OT and let her know that we were requesting it again. Of course, we got the I have to check with my staff, blah, blah, blah. A few weeks later, we get a letter denying it again based upon lack of research and an endorsement by the American Speech and Hearing Association. We responded by providing an article from the American Journal of Occupational Therapists from 2007 talking about the benefits and progress that can be seen by using this. She continued to deny it. We ended up filing a state complaint in May of 2008. And at that time in our state, the school district was the one that would have to respond within 60 days of you filing a state complaint. So of course they responded. Now the State Office of Education investigates and responds, but the school district responded and they claimed the same, that it was denied based on lack of research and endorsement by the American Speech and Hearing Association. We were allowed at that time in our state to appeal it to the state to review it. That is no longer applicable. I wish it was. And we got a decision from them that the school district denies it based upon those same reasons that they gave, but they are continuing to research it and sending a speech therapist to a summer camp to learn more about it. Okay, this is all July of '08. That becomes pretty important because we're going to jump back to January of '08 in a minute, but just keep that in mind. So in January of '08, we get a note from an OT that our other daughter's doing was responsive to it, but the school system keeps denying it based upon lack of research. Okay. So, um, fall of '08, our oldest daughter, is using the program that the school system wants to use for her auditory issues, which is more of a visual program through a computer system. And it's actually impacting her and causing anxiety. Um, and so we start asking for the data that to show us that she's doing as wonderfully as they are claiming. And they claim that they can't get the data off of the system. Now, this is a computer program, so it should generate reports, which I knew that it did. And that shouldn't be hard to obtain. But they were claiming that, oh, we've tried everything and we can't get it off the computer. I'm really sorry. Well, I knew about the Federal Education Record Protection Act, FERPA. So I filed a formal complaint with the FERPA office in Washington, D.C. And within 2 weeks, the school system moved heaven and earth, and they were able to get the data off the computer that they hadn't been able to get off before. Isn't that just really interesting? You involve FERPA, and suddenly they can get it. And the data showed that she was not making progress. In fact, it showed it was not going well. Um, at the same time, for some reason, and I have in my letter that we were given 2,000 pages of internal emails in response to our FERPA complaint. I probably asked in the FERPA complaint, I probably asked for education records to find out what was going on for either of my children. I would ask based upon our name or their names, any education records. And so my letter about all this says that we were given 2,000 pages of emails at that time. So we get the data shows she's not doing well. We tell them to remove it. It's not appropriate. So they end up removing it. And I'm going through the emails. Okay, this is fall of 2008. Remember, January of 2008, the OT sends home a note that my youngest did well with therapeutic listening in a session. Fall 2008, I'm going through all these 2,000 pages of emails, and there is an email from the OT to the special ed director in response to my communications in January of '08 saying, you use it. Why can't we have it for our kids? And the OT sends this email to the special ed director saying, therapeutic listening has been used for several years throughout the district. Training and equipment has been funded by grants through the Education Foundation. One of the schools hosted a parent in service in January of '07, so 6 months before we requested it, where they presented all about therapeutic listening. District employees have loaned therapeutic listening equipment to families for home use. They taught a workshop for the Utah Occupational Therapy Association regarding therapeutic listening. It is valued and used in the private therapy community. And there was a recent article in the American Journal of Occupational Therapy regarding the use and effectiveness of therapeutic listening. Probably the same article that I presented. So here we are, the end of '08. I discover an email from the beginning of '08 where it's been used in the district for years. They send home equipment to families. It's been funded by a grant through the local education foundation. They teach workshops about it and whatnot. And yet we have been denied it repeatedly, including through a state complaint after the special ed director learned all of this from the OT. So let me look at my notes. Sorry. So I sent a letter in December of '08 citing the email from the OT that was sent in January of '08. And I requested 18 months of compensatory education and at-home use of the program in December. The district responded that it will not revisit past denials because your denials won't hold up. It's a controversial program, and suddenly it's not necessary for my children. Okay, That had never been the case before. It had always been that it was a controversial program and that they would use this other program on my daughter, but suddenly it's not necessary. All of this is determined outside of an IEP meeting by the director of special ed trying to defend herself for discrimination against us and denying it for over 18 months. Um, she did offer mediation if we would compromise on our proposed resolution. Um, as a side note, the district had done an auditory test on our oldest and didn't find any problems. As you know, their testing is not always sufficiently comprehensive as required by 300.301 in IDEA to determine needs. And so sometimes you have to go outside to a medical provider to have a sufficient eval. We had done that. They had found auditory issues. Our daughter had actually started the therapeutic listening at home. We were able to borrow it, and she had done a lot better. Um, and the special ed director claimed that she has no authority to make decisions. Those are the IEP team decisions to make. But she does have authority because she denied it for 18 months and then suddenly wanted to tell us without the team being convened that it wasn't just based upon lack of research, but it was based upon not necessary. Um, so I don't remember. I could go down a rabbit's hole and see what happened with this, but a complaint was filed with the Office of Civil Rights about discrimination, retaliation. Why on earth, if it's being used in your district and you're doing in-services about it and it's funded by your local education agency, why are you denying it for a family? How out of touch are you that you're denying it for a family? And if you screwed up, I've always said, nobody's perfect. People screw up. People make mistakes. Own the mistake. You will go a lot farther with me if you go, you know what? I didn't know this because nobody knows everything. I didn't know this. And you know what? Maybe we should try it and see if it would be of help. But instead, you dig in your heels. You tell me it's not research based. You tell me it's controversial, that you don't use it, that the district doesn't approve it. And then we find out you've been using it for years. You do in services on it, all of that. This is just one example of how our family was retaliated against and how my kids were discriminated against with something that could and ended up being beneficial. So know that it exists. Know that there's going to be a lot of reasons why things happen. This wasn't a resource or a money issue. Clearly, it wasn't. They had it available, but they chose not to do it. I'm going to do another video about swings in the classroom. That one will be much shorter, much easier to understand. But it happens, and you need to know that it happens, and you need to, if you feel like you're not being heard, not being listened to, sometimes they just tune out mom and you have to bring in other people to help you. I'd love to help you if you need the help. You can reach me at specialeducationlawmom@gmail.com. I offer a free 30-minute consultation. And if I feel like I can help you, then we go from there as far as fees and whatnot. So that is my video. That was a lot to digest. But I hope that you figured out this was not a money issue. This was a dig in your heels. We're not going to help you. We don't care what you say. We don't care what even our internal employees tell us. We're not going to help you. Sad, huh? Glad that not everybody is like that. So that's it. Subscribe, like, comment, and until next time, make it a great day. Thanks. Bye.